Well, hello there. This is Angela Hooper-Menifield of Menifield Associates. Today is Friday, October 18th, 2019, and this is your HR moment. So, yesterday we talked a little bit about whether or not an employee could be fired or terminated because of posts and different things stated on social media. So I appreciate the feedback I got and the messaging. And again, we just want to encourage you to find out what your state law says about that. I also, share with you guys, I was going to a chamber event last night and it was really nice. One of our former governors of New Jersey, again, this was before my tenure here, or my TDY, as we say, was also one of the recipients. So it was definitely well attended, and sounds like all the recipients are doing really great things here in the state of New Jersey. So today's topic, I mentioned yesterday that I really wanted to talk about just a little bit, is about the legal liability that employers can face when their staff or personnel participate in inappropriate activities, but also about who knew. And so I was basing this question on an article, and I have it here from the LA Times. And some of you may know or follow baseball. So back in, I want to say the summer, July 1, exactly. A baseball player with the Los Angeles Angels died in a hotel room. It happened in Texas. They were there to play the Rangers. And apparently he had been taking opioids. And we know there's a crisis with this right now in the United States anyway, right? Well, the issue at hand is that now an employee who has been with the with the organization for 24 years has admitted to being the person who has been supplying this other person, or the pitcher, Skaggs is his name, with the drugs. And so when the autopsy happened, he had opioids, fentanyl, and oxycodone in his system. And he also had alcohol. And the employee said now that he's an outpatient himself because he's being treated for his own addiction. He said while he did not partake that particular day, he had been supplying that person with drugs. And there's some exchanging of monies, definitely some receipts and different things between the two. Text messaging, they said there are Venmo transactions ranging from $150 to $600. Well, what makes it now a case that Major League Baseball needs to look into, federal investigators and things like that, is that this person says explicitly that, I want to make sure you get it right, that both the person who, I lost my space. Okay. He said that both there's civil liability because the communications person knew about this. It had been reported to them, as well as, what was the other position? I should have printed it out and highlighted it. But there were two people on the staff that knew. Now, they deny that. They said that they had no knowledge of this and that this is not true. But if it was true, and they are positions of leadership with the organization, according to this article, millions of dollars could be at stake. I want you to hear me now, millions. Now, of course, this is a multi-million-dollar, and of course, this team is probably worth $1 billion if we look at the selling price of most major league sports teams. So civil liability is different than criminal liability, right? So they're not saying that these people are criminally liable, but there's some civil liability. And so there is, morally, what did they do wrong? And then, of course, there's the question about he died in Texas, the drugs were given in California type of thing. But at the end of the day, if someone in a position of leadership has knowledge of illegal activity or inappropriate activity transpiring between employees, and that person has not shared that information with supervisors, higher ups, perhaps they could have gotten this gentleman in an EAP program, who knows? But this person says the team's former vice president of communications, so clearly that is a person in a leadership position, and the traveling secretary were told about this drug use before this player's death. He also claims that there are 5 other players he believes used opiates while they were with the team. So his position is this was a widespread issue. This wasn't just a one-time player thing. And so there's culpability. He's cooperating. It's no doubt, with authorities, and they say he's doing so voluntarily. So the question is, what if as a supervisor, you have become privy to information that could, if known, cause someone to lose their job? If known, it could have an impact on the organization. And because of friendship, sometimes people don't want to talk. I remember actually doing a training one time, and I posed the question about what if you observed or knew a peer or coworker was stealing from the organization, and maybe they weren't taking, quote unquote, big things like money, because I think people view different things. There's different lines of what's appropriate and not appropriate, right? So I think I brought up something like toilet paper. What if you're stealing the toilet paper, or the vacuum cleaner, the office supplies? And I really had a supervisor tell me that it was wrong of me to expect him to snitch on his friend. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, please tell me you don't feel that way. You do realize as a supervisor, if you have any knowledge of wrongdoing, you could be held culpable. And this person was really upset with me because they was like, how dare you expect me to snitch on my friend? When it comes to supervision and it comes to what we know, and the culpability or the liability of our organization is pretty steep. So while one wouldn't want you to snitch on your friend, what about your company? What if they go under? What if there are lawsuits? What if something tragic happens and it's found out that you knew? There's different levels of guilt and different levels of responsibility, and supervisors are always held to the higher level. And I also personally have experienced this, as in I had to end up terminating an employee for doing some inappropriate things in the workplace. And some of it was associated around using altering medications and other things. And when I went to the office to have the conversation with the team, I was like, how did we not know this? Because all these things started coming out. And they looked at me and it was like, we knew like year 1. And when I heard that, because this was maybe year 5 or 6, I paused because I'm like, well, in year 1, this person would have been on a probationary period and we could have terminated them a lot easier. And hey, Suzanne, how are you? And I was like, how come this wasn't brought to our attention? What they said to me in response floored me. Their response was, we told our supervisor. Now, mind you, their supervisor, who directly reported to me, was sitting in the room. He didn't bat an eye. So I knew they weren't lying, right? Because if someone said they reported it up the chain and they did not, the supervisor would have said, that's not true. You never told me that happened. He knew. He never told me, because I would have terminated the person, because we can't have a person using illegal drugs in the workplace. But this is exactly what happened. And as a result of that, this person worked, 5, 8 years. I really can't remember. And when they did get terminated, of course, they filed a lawsuit. This went on and on. I'm having to do mediations, going to court and things like that. All of this could have been rectified had the original complaint or concern been elevated. But they liked him, so they wanted to give him another chance. But they did talk to their supervisor, and he agreed, let's give him another chance. Sorry, my phone's ringing. So I say all that to say, when we make arbitrary decisions not to divulge to administration, to the organization, to whomever it is that's the higher up, the HR department, about things that are happening in the workplace that we have knowledge of just because we like people or we don't want to get people in trouble, it's not just about us. We put the entire organization at jeopardy. So as such, the answer to today's question, yes, an organization can be legally liable. Sometimes it's criminally, sometimes it's a civil case. But at the end of the day, an organization can be held liable when their employees and especially supervisors have knowledge about improprieties that they don't share, tell, and or make sure the appropriate action takes place. And nobody cares, the court of law doesn't care, and nobody else cares about who was whose friend. So these are the types of things, again, we want to avoid. So I hope this HR moment today has been beneficial and help you. Like I said, we want to create an environment of continuity, support, and ongoing encouragement for supervisors at various levels, but specifically those at that entry level or those new to supervision or supervising former peers, right? That's a struggle because those are the times we don't want to talk, because I've been working side by side with Joe for 10 years and I'm his supervisor. So I don't want to divulge that trust, that confidence. But there's support there, there's help there, and there's a way to do it and do so in a professional way, in a way that doesn't put you in a liable position, as well as the organization. So again, I hope this HR moment has been helpful and beneficial. My name is Angela Hooper-Menifield of Menifield Associates, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I look forward to talking to you next week. And thank you guys for staying on and watching. Have a great day. Bye.